Perfect. Alrighty. So with that, we are going to start our next run, which is Dandara Trials of Fear, featuring PoleCat. Get excited. Enjoy. Alright, we are ready to go, PoleCat. Welcome on.
Oh, is that me?
That's you.
Oh,
We're
man.
good to go.
Oh, man. Yo, that last run was pretty hot. I'm excited to be here and to be that obscure indie game that shows up right after Sly Cooper. I think it's a great designation for me tonight. Of course, I am not alone today. I am PoleCats, and I am joined today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Emerald Alley. I've considered running this game. I've played it a few times. I've also got the run coming up right after this one, Prince of Persia.
Yes, very convenient, I guess, scheduling for us. But either way, we're going to get started real quick here. So get ready on that timer, because 3, go, let's go.
3, go. I like it.
Yep. No time to waste. So I guess the quickest thing we can talk about right here is obviously the movement. You're going to notice that I kind of just bounce on walls rather than regular jumping. This is a Metroidvania, and this movement kind of just makes up the bulk of the run. So doing it properly, like I just didn't do it there, is very important. There's a lot of like subtlety to some of these rooms as well. I try to use like very specific angles at certain moments. Oh goodness. But for the most part, you know, it's just choose an angle to jump at, press A to jump. Very straightforward gameplay.
I've often considered this game to be, say, a cross between Super Metroid and VVVVVV.
For me, it gets to a point where it kind of crosses over with a lot of bullet hells, with some of the bosses just filling up the screen with stuff, so...
Certainly some of the bosses, yeah. That item right there that PoleCat just passed up is probably the most crucial thing you can get in a casual playthrough. That's the map. Of course, he doesn't need it.
Yeah, you only really need it in runs that require to get all the chests. Luckily for us, it's not required. That other chest down there is also an optional chest, but the potions save so much time to have them that it's not worth going without them. They also are just nice for safety reasons. So talking to that girl there is going to activate these green panels. We didn't get to see too many earlier, but now they'll start to move. We're going to have to go find a guy that activates purple panels to get to the next area. And you know, this is kind of just like the really like basic open area for a lot of Metroidvanias. It's very linear in what we can do. There's a couple little extra side areas. Some of them are kind of worth it. Most of them are not. So it's really just kind of comes up to just going through the intended path for now. Oh, that's a fun glitch. I haven't got that one in a while. That there is just the map menu being stuck open. That happens pretty rarely in runs. Ooh, I have to be careful here.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, I posted it one time, and you know, if you're part of the Dandara Discord, you also will notice that there is one member of the dev team in there, and he likes to see some of the glitches we find. That is one he has not been able to recreate, and it's one I have difficulty recreating.
Shoutouts to Brant.
Shoutouts to Brant. So we're gonna come up on the first mini boss here. I mean, I like to joke about this being a hard fight a lot of times, but it's really not.
I think I actually died to this thing in my first playthrough.
So if it makes you feel better, I've died to it in a run before.
Oh, okay.
I've managed to die to almost everything and screw up every room somehow. Alright, now we got our purple panels activated. We can luckily continue our progress.
And there's definitely a theme in the story as it relates to artists returning to creating their art out of a sense of hopelessness, I guess, coming out of that sense.
It's about freedom, baby.
Yeah.
We're here to bring the people freedom.
Pretty well. Yeah. Now that death is intentional, right?
Yes, that is a fully intentional death. There are many, many intended deaths in this run. But that is the only one that we specifically die to an enemy on. And the reason for that is because when you die to an enemy, just like Dark Souls, you leave like a little spirit behind that you can go grab and get your currency back. In this game, the currency is salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, anything we could jump to is salt, our upgrades are salt, our potions are salt. It's a very salty game, and simply put, salt is everything that this game is. I think they even call like the game area like the salt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and collecting your body, in contrast to, say, Dark Souls, also heals you.
Yeah, that is easily probably one of the best functions of collecting your body. It does mean that anytime you have you're having trouble with a difficult section, that heal can help you get through those difficult sections as well. Getting potion number 2 here. So we'll collect 3 red potions by the end of the run, but for now we're mostly going to be running on 2. We're also making our way over the Johnny B. Missile. If we have a donation whatsoever, now would be a good time to read one real quick.
Let's do a quick refresh. Right now we don't have any, but I will quote the visual of the Prince of Persia Elika's costume. Right now Jade from Beyond Good and Evil is currently winning. If you want to snipe the default costume, Farah from Sands of Time, or the prototype costume, you have plenty of time to do so. So get those donations in.
It's not the one I expected to be in the lead. Interesting.
Which one were you expecting?
Sands of Time.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a very good one.
See, I'm a Beyond Good and Evil fan, and I donated.
Oh.
I'm cool like that.
Excellent. Yeah, I said to PoleCats on the Discord the other night that you should donate $1 or something for every unintentional hit he takes, and he says, nah, he'd be broke.
Yeah, I take a lot of hits. I'm not very good at this. You see, there's one right there.
Just call it RNG manipulation.
RNG manipulation. Oh, goodness. Then I'll get bad RNG later and just be like, oops.
Didn't manipulate it enough.
So here's the first boss. I like to call him M. Bison, even though his name's actually Augustus. The reason comes pretty clear once he shows his face.
I don't know, I had to Google it.
Really?
When I first saw that on your timer, I'm like, what the heck, Bison? I never played, what is it, Street Fighter? Or...
Street Fighter? I've never heard of these obscure games like Street Fighter.
Well, I've heard of it, but I've never played it. But I love how you attack his hands before his health bar shows up, so you can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, if this is 100%, we can actually kill the hands before, or actually get out of the first phase before he even shows his face.
I think I remembered seeing that.
It's technically possible on a route with only the 3-shot in the early game, but it's very difficult to do. I've never gotten it. I've had runs where I've been 1-shot off, but never have actually gotten it. That's an easy fight. That's probably the most straightforward fight. All the other fights, they're a little bit more nuanced to them. They do like to experiment quite a bit with this unique movement mechanic for them.
Yeah, I'll say those DLC bosses are a little bit more complex.
Oh goodness. I always am like, man, I have a good run, and then I die to them. I'm like, well, that was a good run. And then I die to them 2 more times, like, okay, well, there goes the run entirely. This is not a very easy category, to say the least. And that just has to do with a lot of the tricks and the bosses themselves by the late game. So there we just got a new item. I think they call it the Rock of what is it? The Stone of Creation, something like that. And that just lets us use the green, like the green floor panel areas to jump farther.
Yeah, Stone of Creation. The one in the one by the skull is called the Rock of Remembrance, I think.
Yeah, that's the one we'll be getting next.
Yeah.
We can't really get those out of order. I think we technically can, but it's like really obscure what we'd have to do. So here we have just some setting up for later. Seeing a camp. It doesn't seem very specific now, but when we look at camps, it does give us like different functionalities later on with seeing them. So it's important to get those when we can. Oop. And here we're getting probably the best upgrade that we can get in the game, which is the Arrow of Freedom. Our regular attack kind of just shoots out like these little like bullets. Those are called Arrows of Freedom, I guess. And each one does like 1 damage, so every time you pick one up, you do 1 more damage, and it's a really big, significant increase every time.
Yeah, I haven't seen the 100% run with the DLC, but I remember seeing the old 100% run, and gosh, you get OP at the end of it.
Yeah, you have just so many resources by the end of those 100% runs. It's a lot of fun using all those tools that you do have available to you in those runs, but of course, beating the game by the skin of your teeth is also fun too, so. So we're about to be going to the next area here, which is the Remembrance Desert. Goodness me, I'm not able to remember names of things today. And the Remembrance Desert has basically the next progression item that we have to get to. We were talking about that Rock of Remembrance, that's where it's at. And each area, kind of just like any other Metroidvania, it has a different theme of enemies and things of the sort. There we go. Should definitely take notice of this room for later.
Yes.
Definitely seems like a sort of arena-looking room. We'll also be seeing the first instance of me using what is called a quick spin. You'll notice some boxes that I kind of just jump on and I can shoot to the side to spin them. When you shoot a missile instead, which only costs like a fifth of your bar of energy that you have, it spins the box more quickly than charging up an attack. Oh goodness. Of course, you do have to like actually use them properly. And we're gonna be doing a trick I like to call early desert skip, and then we're gonna do early desert skip, which is fun naming. And we're basically just gonna take damage in a specific way to be on a specific point to hopefully get through there. Oh, I did not get it. Okay, at least through that. This room is very awkward to play like this because we're playing it backwards. And yeah, that was early desert skip right there. It's much easier to perform than the other one. Less setup, less damage taken, a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, ordinarily that room and some other rooms in this area have paths that become closed off after you grab the Rock of Remembrance, so being able to just skip around through the room like that definitely saves a lot of time.
Yeah, the intended path through this area is extremely maze-like. It forces you basically to go down through like one-room hallways and stuff of the sort. This is going really poorly right now. Let's hopefully not die. Just have our little orb friends here. These guys only do 1 damage, but, you know, considering my current health, that they're not very friendly.
Yeah, that would be a serious monk-ass time.
So that was a really good example of that there's just other dead bodies lying around that aren't ours, and luckily they also full heal us. So we don't have to spend time at that camp whatsoever. So we're coming up on a mini-boss here. I screwed up my energy, like, management, so I'm not going to be able to go for the 1 cycle. I'm just going to have to go for a 2 cycle, which is pretty easy to do, so I'm going to let this boss do most of the speaking for itself.
Earlier you said that there were a number of intentional deaths in the run. Do you mean deaths in the world itself, or just selecting return to flag from the menu?
It says game over when I do that, so I call that a death.
Okay.
The game treats it kind of funny, though, because if you return to flag, like that's a flag and not a camp, it doesn't full heal you. It doesn't give you resources back. It's really weird. But yeah, now we have the Rock of Remembrance, and instead of like walking all the way back, or I guess jumping all the way back, we're going to use a Death Warp, and we're just going to do the same thing that we just did earlier with early desert. And that's just because the way the map of this area works out is just this is just way faster. Oh goodness, I didn't get in there. Where's it at? Oh my goodness. Oh, we're gonna have to take a death. That's unfortunate. I just did not quite get the angle I needed to get through that wall.
That's tight.
Yeah, there is definitely some... I think that last one I screwed up the angle on, but the other two I just got bad knockback. You can just kind of get funny knockback when you jump into things that just does not quite match up with what you normally could get. I don't even know if that'll work. Nope. That's no good either. There we go. That is the most I've ever struggled with that one. I'm surprised. I didn't think I'd be walled by that one today.
Now I have a question for you if you have a second.
Sure.
I've noticed that in different rooms, the orientation changes. Is that just like what makes them change?
So there's just all rooms are scripted to rotate at certain points when you get into them. There's not really much we can do about that, and it actually changes inputs the entire time. So when a room is rotating, I need to actually change my inputs with the rotation.
Oh wow.
There are some rooms that rotate extremely fast and are hard to react to it that way. There are rooms that rotate slower.
Okay.
And in a casual playthrough, it can make it hard to figure out which door you came in and which door you're trying to go through to get where you're trying to go.
Yeah, the complaints on that actually got to such a point where the devs decided that to add a button to the map that rotates the map to the orientation you're at. So here we are on the second boss. I said keep track of the arena. So this boss is pretty simple. We just kind of hit it. The big thing though is that it's going to do an undodgeable attack, and luckily that does 4 hearts, and we have 5 hearts of health.
I swear I've dodged this undodgeable attack though. Like,
You can avoid it, but it's like pixel perfect. So there's a whole lot of pixel perfect spots, and today we did not get it. So.
Yeah, if you see those platforms coming in toward the heart, that you're expected to like nope out when it does the undodgeable attack and just come back in, but it's much simpler and faster simply to tank it.
Yeah, even if we were to play with something like double damage, we would still find a way to avoid jumping out there. It's just It's not that much slower, but there are items that let us just kind of ignore damage if we were to go for them. That is another item we won't be going for in this game. I guess I may as well talk about it since we won't be getting it, which it's called Bracers of the Patient. It's a really, really good item. What it does is you can expend your energy not to take damage. You just get to stand in place and be invincible.
Yeah, it's a shield, basically.
Yep.
Now that boss is gifted 90%?
Yeah, it is 100% unrequired. If this boss didn't unlock like the areas that get you to true ending, we would still skip it. But unfortunately, it's still very much required. So
I think it's a cool boss. Not very challenging, but cool design.
it's definitely very creative in its design. But you know, it's still pretty early in the run, so shouldn't be too surprising that it's not that difficult. Alright, another quick camp, get a couple upgrades, we'll use those later. So up until now, this run actually hasn't been too much different than what I would actually consider to be an 80% run, outside of fighting that second boss. That'll be changing pretty soon after we do this next mini-boss coming up here. That's just because we'll all of a sudden have access to an item that's really worth getting in the Hidden Realms, which is all the DLC content that's in Trials of Fear. Oop, okay. So, for most people that play this game casually, I oftentimes will see them come kind of towards this area right after beating Augustus, you know, the first boss, and that laser does 4 damage, and I've seen a lot of people get hit by that laser. It's a very sad time indeed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did that in my first playthrough, and there's a spot here with like, yeah, it's right here, with platforms that move if you have the Rock of Remembrance, and I didn't, and I got there and I was like, what the heck, how do I progress?
Yeah, and the game even teases you with the camp over there after getting past that really hard spot, but if you don't have the Rock of Remembrance, you can't get it. It's like, man, devs are mean. So I'm gonna be trying to use some quick spins in this room. Hopefully I get the one cycle. Okay, I got it. It's not a very easy trick to hit on that one. It doesn't save too much time. I think it saves like 2-3 seconds, but it's easily the best use of our energy in this section. And we have a bird. I don't like birds. Do you like birds?
I like birds, but I don't like these guys.
They're interesting looking birds.
Well, I don't know what else to call them. This is a pretty slow fight, actually. Okay, at least it's over now.
Yeah, this guy killed me a ton of times on my first playthrough.
He is especially hard to react to, even when you're used to him. And he does 3 damage per swipe, which is pretty much the highest damage you'll see up to this point on any enemy. So he doesn't play around. He swings. So now at this point, like, the game kind of starts, we're able to break the game a lot more. We have access to a lot of tools that let us do so. And I'm going to be going for 2 clips, and each clip is frame perfect, so hopefully I can get both of them. Luckily, I don't have to hit them both in the same attempt, but I do need to hit them both at some point. And the way this works is I take damage jumping into the platform. And I missed this one. And if I hit it on the right frame, I'll be either in or through the platform.
Is this the first time we've come to the Hidden Realms?
This would be the first time we've entered the Hidden Realms, yes.
Thought so. Yeah, before the DLC, those maws, that's actually what the game calls them, that they're the portals to and from the Hidden Realms. Before the DLC came out, those were just mouths that would eat you.
Oh, oof. I got it in death. Does it count?
Oh no!
We'll just say yes, it does.
Yay!
Validation.
No, it doesn't.
Run validate. I got it while dying again. Oh my goodness. The timing on this is a little finicky because, for whatever reason, the laser doesn't always want to be consistent about how it damages you. At least I didn't die and get it that time. It makes me feel like, I think 1% better. I just straight up didn't get it. Oh, that's not good.
And the DLC actually came out. Oh. Did a thing happen? I'm a few seconds behind you.
Yeah. I thought I hit the timing, but unfortunately the glitch where the memory shaft does not hit you happened once again, and, well, can't clip through like that.
This is why we have a generous estimate.
Yeah, this is exactly why I have a generous estimate. I did it again. Oh, goodness. I clearly should have routed this later in the run when I had 9 hearts instead of 7.
Wow.
I feel bad now.
How many hearts do you have at the end of the run?
9. So I'd be able to take 1 extra hit doing these. That was way too late. There's a lot of different like visual and audio cues I try to use while doing this, and nothing ever seems to be 100% consistent. Didn't get in.
Yeah, there's one of these skips with the laser to clip you through a platform that was in the old...
There we go, we got the first one done.
I'm sure it's still in the current one, that I've tried a few times, and I've gotten it a few times, but I really don't have any innate understanding of what I did right the time I got it.
Yeah, when it's that precise, it gets to a point where, like, it's hard to tell, especially on that third clip we'll be doing, which we'll be doing pretty quickly after the double clip. All the clips are routed early into the run for a good reason, so you can reset more quickly. There we go. Second try. I'll take that. That's easily one that saves more time to get it first try than the other one.
God gamer.
Sure. just ignore all that complete failure that was happening a few minutes ago.
You were building up suspense, clearly.
Yes, clearly. So we have a mini-boss here. I like to call them Time Lords. There's no real official name out for these guys, I think. Or maybe they're called Pushers, I don't know. Because this one's like... I think it's like Pusher's Deadline is like one of these rune names. But I do want to stand as close as possible when I hit these guys. That's just because they have a tendency to back up after being hit. So the closer you hit them, the more likely you get all 4 of your shots to hit.
Those discs they leave behind remind me of some of the boss fights from...
You mean the orbs?
Yeah, I guess.
This is a really slow fight.
I'd err on the side of orbs for these two.
Okay, cool.
game does have a pretty steep learning curve. It gets pretty frenetic the more you press on. And
Yeah, the game used to be
anything yet.
Yeah, the game used to be much shorter, and simply put, like, they wanted to make sure, you know, that they gave players an opportunity to learn the mechanics of the game, and then they wanted to make sure that by the end of it, they were pushing it to their extent. So, in a lot of ways, these areas here are just leagues harder than what we started with. Picking up another yellow potion here, we'll actually end the run by 4 yellow potions. There's rather specific reasons for that. It's just that 2 bars of energy and the yellow potions, which restore a half a bar of energy, just works out perfectly in that way. That we have just enough for a lot of the tricks that we need to do. Picking up some salt here. Salt routing is very specific in most of my runs. This one actually has probably the most leftover salt in it. I think I have about 1,500 salt I have nothing I do with at some point in the run.
I don't think you mentioned, but picking up a potion also picking up a new potion from a chest also completely refills the amount of them you would have. Like if you had 2 red potions, used them both, and grabbed another one, you would have 3 red potions after opening the chest. Does that factor into the run at all?
It does not factor in the run. For 100% and 200% it does. But because we only pick up so few potions, and those potions are rather far out of the way, I missed that, it does not factor in at all.
It is nice for a casual playthrough, though.
So yeah, I guess we didn't mention it, but we picked up a new ability, which is the Displaced Presence. Easily, like, my favorite ability to add to the game. That's new to Trials of Fear. And what it does is it works like a bouncing projectile, and when it hits a piece of, like, land that you could jump on, it'll teleport you to it, and it will give you invincibility when it hits puts you over there as well. It's very, very good. It's very, very powerful. Now it's time for another clip.
Yeah, this is the one I was talking about earlier that I've... Oh no!
No!
That's not a good sound.
Oh man, I'm sorry, but like, I'm just watching and I'm like, oh boy, I got in, and then it kicks me right back out.
This is the one I mentioned earlier that I've done a couple of times, but don't really know how.
Yeah, whenever you get that, it's just like, you know, whenever I think I'm out, they pull me right back in. You know, it's just, oh, okay, we got that time. That's a pretty decent fake town skip there. That's what that clip's called. That clip's been in the run for about ever. So now we have, like, even more skips to perform right now. We're gonna go... Oh, that's the wrong spot. There it is. So we're gonna go to the area called the Masquerade. Now the Masquerade is a super long section. I think, like, if I was to do it without glitches, it costs something like 12, 13, 14 minutes to do it. With glitches, it costs about 2 minutes to do it, which is a pretty big improvement. But of course, I do need to land those. They're not all too easy to do, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you've noticed we now have the ability to essentially warp to the camps we've discovered, and again, drawing contrast to a game like, say, Dark Souls, you don't have to have actually sat at the camp to be able to warp to it, you just have to have found it. And then I believe there is at least one where you can't sit at it before warping to it.
So that right there is an example of a weapon clip. Instead of clipping my body, I clip a weapon into the wall. And this is used a few times in the run just to get that one specific memory shaft we collected earlier through walls to hit stuff that we can't quite hit ourselves.
Is that how the lock skips work?
That's exactly how the lock skips work.
We'll get to those later. Obviously, this entire area is DLC, but you've noticed at various times that dialogue will come at the top of the screen. That was all added in the DLC. None of that ever used to be there.
So I'm going for Bridge Skip 2 here. Oh my god, I got it. And that is another form of weapon clipping. It's really precise compared to all the other ones, but it's not as hard as the clips that we were doing earlier.
Nice.
So we have supposedly a fight up here, but luckily the fight trigger, it's near the center of the room, and we're just going to try to avoid it. And hopefully kind of just teleport out of here. Alright, cool. That was all first try. That was really good. So we're gonna be collecting the item. I think it's called like the Mirror of Truth or something. If we have time, if we have a donation, now would be a great time for it.
Looks more like a seashell.
That is a very large seashell. Well, we don't have a donation, but I mentioned Elika's costumes before. Don't forget about the prince's costumes. There is a bid war to choose what he will be wearing in the run. You have your default outfit, the prototype outfit, and personally my favorite, the Sands of Time one. So if you have a preference, get your donation in, and let's see what fashion statements will be made in the next run. So this one potion here is like the one potion I would consider optional in the run. But it adds so much safety and it lets you actually screw up in a few areas that I like it way too much not to pick it up.
It's nice to have license to screw up.
Yep. Only costs about like 30 seconds, so it's always worth picking up in a run to me. So now we have one more camp to discover, and if you may have heard the description we had on... Ooh, that was awkward. Okay, that worked out. And if you missed the description on the Pearl of Dreams that we collected earlier, that lets us warp to any camp that we've just seen before. We don't have to actually like stay at it or visit it. So we're gonna go see a camp that's inside this Golden Fortress that we kind of just passed by earlier. Golden Fortress is the final area of the base game. It's not the final area of like the true ending.
Yeah, I like how your splits nowadays say final boss question mark on what used to be the final boss.
Well, what else is it now? Ooh.
Now, does that adhere you to the surface you're allowed to stand on, or do you have to aim it perfectly?
Which one?
When you do the displaced presence across a room like that, does it glue you towards the surface you're allowed to stand on, or do you have to aim it just right?
So whenever you hit a surface that you can stand on, it'll teleport you to it. If you don't hit a surface that you cannot stand on, or if you hit a surface you can't stand on, what will happen is instead it will bounce off of it.
So you do have to aim it right to be able to land there.
Yes. Those sliding platforms in that room a little while ago, you can actually hit the other side of them, and you'll be stuck like above in between the platform and the laser, and you'll be in a very awkward position. It happened to me the other day. I was like, huh, okay. Oh. So we're going to be fighting, I guess what was an optional mini-boss, these turrets that were chasing us earlier. These turrets are not too hard, but we are trying not to take that much damage on them. And if we leave the room fast enough after killing them, we can skip a cutscene that happens. It takes about 10 seconds for the cutscene normally. So that's a small time save right there.
It's the cutscene of that like bloody eye going away, right?
Yep. And now we're gonna be doing the like the lock skips rather. These are not too hard to do. It's just another form of weapon clipping. The big problem is getting ourselves in position to actually weapon clip. The way weapon clipping works, and this is the easiest way to describe weapon clipping, is that whenever you spawn a projectile, it doesn't actually spawn from the center of your body. It spawns from Dandara's hand. And so as a result, you need to get your hand through stuff to weapon clip. This is why the bridge clip 2 or the bridge skip 2 works. And some of the other ones, it's just because this one, just because memory shaft is just so broken, it's really easy to clip it into stuff. Like here.
First time I saw this, it blew my mind a little bit.
I will admit, when I found this, I was like, man, I've been doing this wrong for like 7 months. I was just like, it's like I've been doing this the entire time.
You skipped some really difficult rooms.
Yeah, those rooms are extremely killer. The route I had going for any percent before this was so brutal, I never got a run completed on it after taking out all the safety in the run. Okay, so we're not quite going to the final boss yet. We have to do one last thing to unlock the final boss, to be the right word for it. And this is technically the only requirement to get to the true ending boss fight. But because it required that shell mirror that we got earlier, there was a few other steps that we took to get there. Oop.
I was wondering about the requirements to spawn the true final boss.
Yep, it's all we have to do is talk to one NPC, but unfortunately, to do that, there's a whole bunch of other stuff required.
I think this is the spot where I first entered the Hidden Realms.
This is the spot most people first enter the Hidden Realms. It's designed that way, as you can tell by a lot of friendly hoops to jump through that send you on a one-way trip to not fun land.
Exactly.
So we found a place, what's it called? The Exile Contemplations. It is Exile, this is jail, and the next boss fight will be against the Warden, and I am not a fan of the Warden. There he is right there, what a nice guy. Already trying to shoot me with a laser, I just got in the room.
Yeah, I believe my exact words the first time I saw this fight were double hell no. It's pretty intense.
This bird is easily my least favorite enemy out of all the birds. He likes to stick inside walls. I don't have a name for him, but it'd be probably something like Jerkface.
I do enjoy large boss arenas, but gosh, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, you definitely have to cycle through a whole lot of different projectiles coming at you. Ooh. That's okay. So if you haven't noticed, the way we actually damage this boss is by jumping through the eyes. Oh my god. Oh no! That was rough.
That's unfortunate.
Those guys usually aren't so active, so I was a little surprised that he jumped at me. Well, we'll just do it again, right? No problem.
It's kind of nice that you can spawn at the camp you want to spawn at after the fight, but the fact that there's a camp very close to this fight. You know, again, sort of like a bonfire in Dark Souls, but you don't have to be stationed there to be able to use it. You can just warp to it even though you never stand at it. That's kind of nice, I suppose.
Now, let's take a potion this time and not die to weird stuff.
Yeah, PoleCats just demonstrated there that you can actually shoot your body to reclaim it. You don't have to jump through it. And same for all the other bodies laying around. That sounds so much worse now that I said it.
So here we are talking to our one NPC here that we have to unlock true ending. So all we have to do now is fight the final boss and then fight the true final boss. So we'll hopefully do a lot better on those two than we just did on that one.
You know what to do.
You know what to do. I always specifically make sure that I get that text box and runs. Since you are allowed to menu while NPCs are talking to you. Do you want to describe the Eldar fight at all, or should I cover that one real quick?
I think we kind of need to let the people see it for themselves at first.
I guess that's fair enough.
At least what it looks like at first, because it's probably not what anyone's expecting. Now the final boss, question mark, at least the first phase of it, is a giant TV screen.
So the main thing I'm watching out not to get hit by on this TV screen is being crushed by it. That is an instant kill.
It does telegraph which way it's going to move, though.
Luckily, yes. It did used to move faster too, and that was a nightmare. I think like the earliest patch, it moved like twice as fast. It would slowly come at you, and you'd be like, "Oh my god." Then we have the Orb Second Phase, and the Orb has like 30 different attacks. The main attack I don't like seeing are eggs, because eggs he can just throw out like all the time, and they waste a ton of time. Well, they don't waste a ton of time, but out of everything he can throw, and then I can get out of the way of, eggs are the most obnoxious. Pretty good so far. We're getting mice right now. Or the mouse cursors, as I like to call them.
Oh, mouse cursors. I was wondering why you called these mice.
Take another hit.
So can you ever go the entire fight without him doing eggs?
Yeah, no, it's completely RNG what he throws. Oh, there's eggs. I am not in the best position here.
Kind of reminds me of a boss fight in one of my runs. Not the run I'll be doing, but one of my runs where there's one attack you really don't ever want to see the boss do, but he never goes the entire fight without doing it.
Okay, that was going to be a little more dicey in a couple more seconds. As he did keep throwing out the golden mice. The golden mouse cursors, they stay for a very long time. They stay almost 2 minutes, continuously going around the arena. So here we are. We're going to be coming up on the final boss. I don't have too much to say before it. If we have anything we'd like to plug, or if we somehow have a donation, I would, you know, this would be the last good time for one.
Alright, I do have a couple goals to plug for the upcoming game Freedom Planet. Right now we have a Freedom Planet 2 demo run that you can see at a goal of $40. You go for $45, you can actually upgrade Freedom Planet into Classic. So definitely check those out. And of course, there's still the bid wars for the costume choices of both Elika and the Prince in our upcoming run. So yeah, look forward to.
All right, coming up on the final boss. You know, when you see the face of the final boss, I would appreciate getting some foreheads in the chat. I would say it's customary, but I'm the only runner of this game, so there are no customs.
You make the rules.
Yeah, Georgie knows what's up. He's already starting the foreheads.
Rip Lazuli.
So I'm not going to get too many chances to talk during this fight. It is extremely difficult just trying to manage everything that happens. A lot of the patterns are set, but their locations are not. So you have to react to where they are. And the only way to actually damage the boss is to take out like a lot of the individual things that it spawns and then jump through the eyes that are left over.
I believe I remember reading on the Discord this boss was recently nerfed.
Yeah, they nerfed the last patterns of it, but the early patterns are still completely the same.
Gotcha.
Not the greatest phase one. We are missing a lot of extra hits. So there's one piece of RNG in this fight that's kind of worse than all the others. It's gonna keep spawning like these little islands that keep popping up here. One of the islands is just a straight up 10-second time loss. In which we'll be judged by a bunch of NPCs we haven't even met yet. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but you know, you never know. Oof.
And there's 3 NPCs that are ordinarily required for progression, right?
Yes. Okay, luckily we did not get them.
Toward the true final boss.
Yes. can't hit it.
I've never done this fight, so I really don't have anything to contribute at this point, unfortunately.
That is alright, because on this last phase, all we have to do is break open the eye and jump through it. Hopefully, it's nice to us and gives us good patterns to do so. This one's not too bad to get. But some patterns are obviously much harder to deal with than others. This is a pretty good fight so far. This fight can go really bad. Ooh, didn't quite get that. I'm not exactly sure how many jumps through it takes to beat the final boss here, but it is quite a few. Luckily, that is the final boss there. Time is after the credits scroll. So it's not like... we go by in-game time, and in-game time stops after the credits. Which is a little unfortunate, because we don't get to see like the final cutscenes where everyone's all happy that... this thing's not around anymore, because that looks pretty unpleasant to have around.
No kidding.
Is it the eyeballs, or is it like the head with tentacles on it that creeps you out?
This whole scene just looks like something out of a nightmare.
I guess one of the weird side effects of like skipping the cutscene is like that it double plays like it plays two music tracks at once. It's really weird. And time.
GG?
That was not too bad. That definitely could have gone worse. I have had many runs where I've had a death to that final boss, and it becomes like it would go from like a 55 to like a 103 very fast. But yeah, I don't have too much to add to this run. If you enjoyed it, you know, you can join the Dandara Discord. You know, it's not a very big Discord, but you know, I'm around and I love to talk about this game anytime I can. Do you have anything to add as well, Emerald?
No, not really.
Well, I do for you. You have a run coming up, so please stick around and, of course, enjoy the next run. And there is a quick question in chat I would like to answer, and that is this a Brazilian game? And yes, the answer to that is yes, it is a Brazilian. The dev team is entirely Brazilian.
Yeah, I believe Dandara is actually a Brazilian folk hero.
Yes. Well, thanks for having me. That is all I have to say today. Luckily, I know my presence can be a bit agitating, so you're getting off easy tonight, chat.
Well, thank you so much, PoleCat, for the amazing run. That was amazing. That was cool. I had never seen that game before, and I might have to check that out now. So, awesome job. Of course, coming up next is Prince of Persia with our favorite Emerald ally, who you heard do commentary in the most recent run. So, stick around. We'll get set up and look forward to the next run.